Good afternoon, students. I will continue the previous class topic. Okay, the topic started in the previous class is the inheritance. Okay, inheritance is nothing but deriving the properties of existing class to the new class. Okay, this is also called as code reusability feature. Okay, this is one of the important feature in the object-oriented programming. Okay, where we can inherit the features of the existing classes to the new class. That is, without modifying the existing class, we can extend the features of the existing class using a new class. Okay, that is, we can add the more features to the existing classes using the inheritance. Okay, so we need not to modify the code of the existing class, but we can add the more features to the existing class. Okay, the inheritances are of four types. Okay, the first one is the single inheritance. Okay, where we have only one base class and one child class. Okay, okay, single inheritance is only one base class and one child class. There is only one level of inheritance. Okay, and multi-level inheritance is here we have multiple levels of the inheritance. That is, there are the more than one level of a classes. Okay, there is a one base class and there is another deriving class from the base class, and next we have a one more level. Okay, in that level again we have one base class and one child class. Okay, like this we can extend the inheritance to the number of levels. Okay, more than one level of inheritance is called as the multi-level inheritance. Okay, this in this A class properties are inherited to the all the child classes. That is, A class properties are inherited to the B class, and B class properties are inherited to the C class, and C class properties are inherited to the D class. That is nothing but now the D class can use all the properties of A, B, C classes. Okay. And hierarchical inheritance is nothing but here we have the two base classes, sorry, one base class and more than one derived classes. Okay, like this, like a tree structure, we have the one base class and more than one child classes. So B derives the all the properties of a class and C also derives the all the properties of A class. So B, C uses the properties of A class. In the multiple inheritance, we have the one derived class from more than one base classes. Like say for example, if you have the two base classes A, B, and from this one child class is derived like a C. So it can inherit all the properties of the A class and it also inherit the all the properties of B class. Now the C class is combination of A and B class properties, and C can also have its own properties. Okay, so this type of inheritance is called as the multiple inheritance. Okay, these are the four types of inheritances that we generally use in the programming of the object oriented. Okay, next we'll see the one by one example for these all inheritances and how we can do this inheritance in the Python. Okay, next syntax to do the inheritance using in the Python. Okay, we'll write a class is a keyword to create the class, and next the subclass name or derived class name or child class name, and within the brackets you need to mention the base class name. So whatever the class you want to use as the base class for the current child class, okay, that class name you need to mention in the brackets. Okay, next you can write the class body, okay, the code within the class. So from this base class or subclass or derived class is derived from the base class, and it can access all the properties of this base class. And whenever you want to access the properties especially from the superclass, that is base class, then you can use a method as super. Okay, this is provided by the Python to access the base class methods. Okay, methods and variables. Okay, this is only used whenever you have the same name of a method in the child class also. Okay, say for example, init is a method which is used to create the constructors. Okay, say for example, if I'm writing a constructor in the base class with the init name, and as in the same way in the child class also I'm writing a constructor with the init name, init. Okay, then if I want to call the base class constructor within the child class, okay, then I can write as super brackets dot init method. Now it calls the base classes constructor. Okay. Okay, generally base class constructor is invoked whenever the child class is constructor is invoked. But if you want to do especially the base class constructor to be invoked separately, then you can do like this. This is especially used whenever you have to pass any arguments to the base class constructors. Then we can use the init of arguments. Okay, now you can call the base class constructor and you can pass the arguments to the base class constructor. Okay. And as in the same way, you can also use the super method to call the methods in the base class that are also same name of a child class method. Okay, if it is with a different name, you need not to use the super keyword. We can directly call the method. Okay, we'll see that in the examples. Okay, so next we'll see examples for one by one inheritance. Okay, first example is for single inheritance. Okay, here we have existing class is the employee one class, and here we have a constructor in the employee one class, and with the four parameters the constructor is created. One is a self default parameter for all the class, all the methods, name, age and salary, three variables. And we are creating a three instance variables within the employee one class and assigning with the name variable, age variable and salary variable. Okay, what are these type of variables? What type of these variables are? Okay, not the data type. Access specifier for these variables. Access specifier for these variables is public because there is no symbol, there is no underscore preceded by the variable. So the variables are public variables. Okay. So we can create the public variables like this. So these are the instance variables of this class and we are assigning the values to that variables. Next, now I am inheriting a class, okay, with the name part-time. This is my derived class name part-time and I want to inherit that from the class is employee 1. Okay, this is the base class and this is the child class. Okay, from this the part-time class is inherited. Okay, so now I can use all the variables of the employee 1 class. That is also all the variables that are declared, that are created as the public variables. Okay, those variables I can access in the part-time class. Access is nothing but we can use that variable. Okay, so these three variables we can use within the part-time class also. So here we are also creating another constructor for this part-time class, init constructor, and here also we are creating a variables as self is the default parameter, name variable, age variable, salary. These three are the parameters, and one more parameter we are using here is just ID. Okay, like a serial number or roll number or employee ID like this. Okay, so here I am using the three base class variables, employee one variables, the three employee one variables, name. Okay, here we don't have name in this part-time class. Here it creates the name variable, that is it uses the name variable of the base class. Okay, self dot name equals to name. Okay, whenever you are specifying like this, first it checks whether this class has the base class or not. Okay, part-time class has the base class employee 1. Then it go to the employee 1 and checks whether there is a name variable in the employee 1 or not. There is a name in the employee 1 class. Okay, so that this name value is assigned to that name variable. So the self dot name is nothing but it refers to the name variable of the base class. Okay, it doesn't create another variable. It uses the base class name variable and assigns the value to that. As in the same way, whenever you are using a age variable, it checks in the base class whether there is a age variable in the base class or not and assigns this age value to that age variable. Then you are creating a salary variable. Here also it checks whether the salary variable is there in the base class or not. Is there the salary variable in the base class? So this salary value is assigned to the base class salary variable. Next, here we are creating another variable self.id.
Okay, this is also checked in the base class. Okay, but it is not in the base class. Okay, so that it creates a new variable as id and assigns this id parameter value to the id variable. Okay, this is the variable which is of child class, that is in the part-time class, and these three are the variables of base class. Okay, so we can reuse that variables in the child class without creating that three variables again. We can reuse the variables which are available in the base class so that it reduces the memory space, and it reduces the allocation space and others to access the base class variables. Okay, and next we are testing this class emp1 equals to employee1. Okay, this is, it creates an object for the, that is instance for the employee1 as emp1, and here we are passing a parameters Harshit as the name, 22 as the number, that is age, sorry, 1000 is the salary. Okay, for testing just we are printing the age. It prints the 22 as the age. Okay, say if you are trying with the part-time employee, say for example e2 as the another variable equals to part-time variable, the part-time is the class name. Okay, then it creates a instance for the part-time class. Okay, and you can pass the all the parameters values for the part-time class object. Okay, as x as the name, and say for example 5 years is the age, and 100 is the salary, and 3 is the id. Okay, now these four variables are passed to the part-time class, and these three are assigned to the, that is assigned to the variables of a name, age and salary, and this is assigned to the id. Now you can check this object by calling the e2 dot, you can print the, say for example id, or you can print the age or something. Okay, so that you can print the value of a id variable. Okay, okay, this is for the single inheritance. There is only one base class and one child class. Okay, so you just remember the how to create the how to specify the inheritance in the python. Just you need to mention the base class in the brackets. Okay, that is only you need to remember. Remaining all you can use as it is in the normal classes. But another thing you need to remember is which variables you are accessing from the base class and which are created in the child classes, that you need to remember. Okay, next we'll see the another example for the second type of inheritance is the multi-level inheritance. Okay, within this we have more than one levels of the inheritances, and each and every level has one base class and one child class. So here we have a base class is employee class, and here I have a constructor, and we created the three variables name, age and salary, and assigns the values to that three variables. And another class we have is part-time class, which is inherited from the employee class. Base class is the employee, and inherited class is child class is part-time. Okay, and here also we have a constructor. Okay, so which takes the name and age and salary as the parameters and assigns to the variables. Here the variables are from employee class because it doesn't create the variables. Before creating any variable, it checks whether there is a variable in the base class or not. If it is not in the base class, then only it creates the variables. Okay, and next child class is the intern, which is derived from the part-time class. Okay, we derived a class from the part-time. Here again I have name, age and salary. Okay, this is also assigns the name, age and salary of the to the base class. So these two classes are inheriting the same name and age and salary variables to the both the part-time and intern classes. Okay, say if you want to create one intern, that is internship member, you can specify the values for the intern class, and you can create a instance for the intern. If you want to create a part-time employee, you can create a instance for part-time, and you can check that.